That's what we like to see.
There he is. How are you?
We like to see the man playing a guitar.
It's got to be done. How are you doing? Okay.
So, how long have you been playing for? Years?
About 10 years. Yeah.
Fabulous.
About 10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I've
yeah.
been probably playing the piano for about 20 years, probably, and I'm still absolute crap. You know?
I've got one out there, but I don't play it that much, to be honest. It's difficult.
I played the flute.
Yeah.
And I had a go at, and then I injured my thumb training, and so for about a couple of years I got into the bass and the chromatic harp, which is good. The mouth organ, like
Sure.
like Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, fantastic. Cool.
That's a really complex instrument. That's like they're all hard, aren't they? They're all
difficult in their own little individual ways, aren't they?
Oh, this looks simple. I'll just play this, and you go, yeah. Once you're in a bit,
bang out a few chords and then a few scales. I'll be fine.
That's it. I'll be able to busk it. I'm still trying to busk it. I can do it on the flute. On the flute, I can sort of wing it.
Riff it a bit.
If I play with guitarists, they generally think I know lots because I'm playing one scale.
Yeah.
And they're playing 3 different chords, and they're going, "Wow, you can just change seamlessly." And I'm going, "It's just
it's just a scale."
But because it's at 2-5-1 or something like that.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm into it. I just love it. I think it's great. It's my other passion. I probably do about an hour on the piano in the morning.
Yeah.
I try to aim at getting 2 hours in
a day.
But I rarely do. Very rarely do. Really, it's not. It doesn't happen that often.
Has it gone up since lockdown?
Life, no, surprisingly not. No, it hasn't changed at all, really, because Judy broke her leg just after Christmas.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So we've been locked down since then. Really, I've been looking after, because she was. So I've been like a carer, really. Since then, yeah.
How's she doing now?
Yeah, she's all right now. She's walking now. We can't walk far.
Yeah.
And that's the next step. We're just doing the exercises and we're gradually stretching the walks out, but you still need to be there. So
build the muscles.
Our lockdown's probably 15 weeks now, I think.
How are you finding it?
It's all right, really. I mean, we're getting up later.
Yeah.
I'm up earlier. Always, but we're not getting started early. We seem to dabble all the morning. I think, how is it for you? How are you finding the lockdown?
It's difficult because I'm on my own, so it's not particularly fun. Like, I was with my mum and dad for 8-9 weeks. My girlfriend's in India, so I'm not sure when I'm going to be seeing her. It's a bit like, but you make do, don't you? You can just do what you do.
The GL thing, because Andy's on his own. He's in that room or in that apartment on his own. Yeah, and
is he? Yeah.
I had to see Greg the other day, and then he said to me that the police captured them, interrogated them, and told them to go home and shut up.
Yeah.
So
they properly locked down there, didn't they? They
strictly. Really, he said they had machine guns out,
like armed policing. All sorts.
Armed policing pointing them at people who are driving, saying, "Why are you driving?" Yeah. So
it's crazy, isn't it?
It's
a crazy times we're living in.
Well, it's just changed, isn't it? Really, and you just have to embrace it, because I know lots of people go, "Oh, I wish it was like this," and well, it isn't. So you just have to
exactly, just roll with the punches.
And think, okay, what can I do now? I mean, I'm trying when I can to get fitter than I was. So I come out of it fitter and better all around. Yeah. But that's quite hard, as you know, on your own. You get motivated, and I've not been that fired up by doing lots of Zoom classes, because it's almost like a social justice thing, a social integrity, or whatever they call it, where you're going, "Oh, look, I'm doing twice as much as you are." Yeah. No, that's not it. So I'm out on the bike a lot. I do my push-ups and squats and abs and things like that, and my yoga in the morning, and basically do that, and then I sometimes teach little groups online, but there's not a lot you can do, and I'm filming for the online as well.
I've seen lots of that coming out. Yeah, I've seen lots of the Filipino stuff that you're going to be doing, and like the Panadukan that you've kind of bundled together. Yeah,
lots of that is old stuff.
Yeah,
but then we're also doing some clips from the garden, just basic stuff. How to shadow box.
Yeah.
But instead, most people shadow box without any plan whatsoever.
Yeah.
So as a beginner coming into that, or even an intermediate and advanced, most people are just wibbling around. Like almost like a guitarist would noodle, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Noodling, and if you talk to any football player, they go, "Why are you noodling?"
Yeah, definitely.
Noodling's like 5-10%. You should be practicing, your triplets or your harmonic minor scale in thirds, or to build up some technical prowess. So what I did was I've just done really simple grid stuff in a square, and then added different things into that. So here we're
just building and
doing evasion. Right, this time we're just doing splits, and then we can go over the splits statically. Then we put them into the grid, and then we obviously do arcs and circles as well.
Sure.
And so but the idea was that you always have the grid. So even if you're in chaos, there's your box, forward, back, left, right. You know what I mean?
Something to fall back onto.
Yeah, sort of like a GPS in your head.
It's your reference.
Because, if you've been in a fight or you've been in a ring, fights sort of spiral, don't they? They go like mad. You go beep, beep, and it's like you go in and out of consciousness, in that you go and then you go on for about a second, and then I'm here now, and then you're in a different room, with your clothes torn off you or something like that. Fights like that where you're going and I've gone, I'm in a shower.
What happened there?
Just hanging off my arm, and now I'm actually this guy or whatever, and the same also in the ring, in competition. So it's like you get snapshots, and so what I want is, so wherever you are, here's the grid. Right, that's forward, that's back, that's this left, this right, and now I can circle. But if I circle, I've still got the grid. I'm still going. Thank you. Whatever.
Straight back in.
I'm in my box. My head's calm because I know where I am.
Yeah.
So it's a bit, the parallels on the guitar are the same, aren't they? Oh, here I'm back on the tonic again. Okay, thank God. It's that thing about just chopping it up into bits, and that seems quite enjoyable and hard to do.
Yeah. It's really interesting, like the comparisons between martial arts and music and dancing and things like that. Like the amount of martial artists I know that also play an instrument, they also dance in some form. Like they fit really well. Whether it's the footwork, the brain, the thinking,
It's I think totally similar in that you can't bluff.
Yeah.
Well, you can bluff a bit. As in everything, you can bluff a bit, can't you? And then you go, I'm out of bluff now, and the bluff's not working because I just got punched in the face or whatever. I've bluffed. I've been on like jazz. Excuse me. I've been on jazz camps, and they're very gracious. They go, you're doing quite well, and you're thinking, no, I'm struggling. And then you run out of air, sort of thing. And I think rhythmically, it's really very, very close. I used to teach a guy called not teach really, or train with a guy called Barry Danelian. Barry's the lead trumpet player for the E Street.
Okay.
Band, with Springsteen. So he's playing concerts to 80,000 people, and all that, like da 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 da. So he can split any rhythm into about 5. And I remember training with him up on the roof at the old academy. I'm really good at rhythm stuff. So going like that, and he could split it. He could split the rhythm when we were slightly. He could put his hand in where there was a gap.
Yep.
But before the gap was there, He stopped before the gap because he knew the gap was coming. And I went, oh, where do you get that? Because it's really so rare to find guys who are really that rhythmically good. It was all off beats and staggers and things like that. So he was great. You know, I think he's doing Chinese medicine now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I think New York, that whole music scene is like dead now. Yeah.
How come? Why is
I think since Giuliani and all those people came in, and they cleaned it all up and said, "Oh no, you need a license for this. You need, everyone needs to be health and safety for this and da 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 da."
The underground bit's gone away, and
yeah, that were all of it. I think it's all gone, and also digitizing.
Yes.
You can get some kid in the room doesn't know anything, taps the thing like 15 times, and then it's auto generated, isn't it?
That's not music, that's programming.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's programming. But maybe that's why all those tunes all sound a bit alike, don't they?
Yeah.
They all use like a standard chord progression, and and it's like stab chord. So I think, so that's sort of dead now. But that's what it all tell me. So what's great about it is there's all these world-class people out there who you can get to train with for on the cheap, because they haven't got any work at all.
They need the work,
So you can sort of say, "Oh, can I come train with you?" They go, "Yeah, okay, yeah."
Crack on, give me something to do.
They're trying to earn a living, yeah. How's how was everyone else doing? The other people you've interviewed?
Yeah, they're okay. They've all said kind of the similar thing as to what you've said in terms of like the lockdown, and they're trying to see it as a down period for them in like a hectic lifestyle. They see it as like a bit of a break, and they say, obviously, it's awful what's going on and people are dying, and it's not good for the economy and things like that, and that's awful. But they said personally, as individual households or individual people, they've kind of enjoyed it. It's given them a little bit of time to reflect, a little bit of time to step back maybe and think about what they want for the future as well, and put things in perspective.
Well, in a way, I was sort of there anyway, because I'd sort of retired from owning a school, even though I teach at the school still. I mean, I retired from owning the schools. I've owned a school now for 50 years. And started in 1970. So that's 50 years, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just thought, no, I've done everything I can do there. So I sort of stopped anyway. I moved into doing online. I'm doing some books and things. Because there's those in my head that you want to get out and being very creative. And I've always been quite creative anyway. And so I'm writing books. Presently I'm doing a sparring masterclass. So that's a video that we've done of a seminar where we've broken sparring in bits, and then I'm doing a PDF book, like an ebook,
accompanying
with that. So it just says, look, that's why you're here. These are the things you can do from here. These are the 5 drills you can do from here. So that when you get to that chaos point, it isn't. It's just from here we do this. And that's quite interesting. I'm doing a book. As you know, I taught on Matt Chapman's thing last year. And I said, well, do you want me to teach Panatukan? Do you want me to teach this, to that, whatever? He goes, just teach them the jab. He said, because your jab's ever so good. It's like a world-class jab. He said, just teach them a jab. And I went, oh, okay. And that was a bit of and then I went, okay. And then, of course, there's hours. I mean, I think on the camp, if you came to camp, I can't remember if you came or not. It was great. And you were just tagging people, saying, look, I'm tagging you. I'm 40 years older than you.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And you can't stop me. So wouldn't you like to have that? And so now I'm going to do a world-class series. I'm going to do world-class jab, world-class hook, because I have a really quite nice hook, left hook. I haven't got the best cross in the world. I've crossed a lot of people, but probably that's not my main tool. But I'm going to do a book on that as well. Same emphasis, and then a book on world-class defense, because most people don't really have a defense that's not what do we call it the other day? It's like a playlist where you go, if you ask this question, you do that. It's like a phrase book, yeah.
I call and response.
Yeah, call and response, and that doesn't work under pressure, because you go, well, they never ask a question that you ask. It's like, you know that thing where you think, I'll go and chat this girl up, and I've got all these
lines, I've got all these pickup lines ready.
I'm a helicopter pilot, and they go, I am too.
You go, shit.
Do you fly the Bell or do you fly the Rodriguez 75? And you go, the whole game is done, isn't it? Yeah. So we're trying to teach people a language a bit more, and I think particularly defensively, people don't really have a language. They have a like Facebook of things they do, and they have some things that work for them. So they've got 2 or 3 things that work, and that's the game. So we're trying to build that out. So you've got a really deep defense, and you can play all of the bits individually.
Sure.
And then put them back in, and that's really interesting. That's so that's my next 3 months, and I'm doing an autobiography as well.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying. Yeah, I look forward to reading that. That's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. We just did a time a line on it, and obviously I grew up just after the war, so it's interesting. That's a hugely interesting time. I mean, talk about freedom. There was just incredible freedom that you've got no idea.
Yeah.
If you're any younger age, you've got no idea the freedom and the laissez-faire about things. Like my house was straddled by bomb sites, basically, where the Germans had come in. They bombed Highbury Corner next to my school, and then next to the house I lived in, big house, and so we just played on bomb sites all the time, and we made guns out of lead, that we found, and bullets, and we fired them. Then we played battleships. There were a big pile of bricks, huge big pile of bricks where houses had come down, and you stand on one side, you throw bricks over the people on the other side and see if you could hit them, and they throw bricks back, and you go, excellent, and we were like 8.
That's a game,
That's a game, so that's quite interesting. No cars at all.
No.
I think on our strip we have 1. So that's interesting from that, and then I'm sort of straddling it with fights I've had. Because obviously I've been teaching fighting for 50 years. I've been doing it for about 53 years, something like that. So not that that's all I'm all about, because I'm into music, I'm into art and stuff like that.
Of course.
But I'm gonna some of the pillars of the book are going to be about fights and the things why they engendered me thinking in a certain way.
Were there things that kind of jogged your memory when you were writing it? Were you like, I'd forgotten about that, and this, or
yes, some bits. I mean, the fights are easy to remember because they're like they're high octane things that you use. But then other people come in and said, "Oh, do you remember that guy came in with the sword and said, 'I'm here to challenge you,'" and you went, "Okay, and all of that." So we put in all these anecdotes, and obviously martial arts is a fantastic thing. It's really, I mean, I was like a working class kid, working class and middle class, that sort of boundary thing.
Yeah.
And then I've met everyone in the world, like all levels. I met billionaires. I've been on billionaires' yachts. I've been with rock stars, big film stars, Batman and all of that. I mean, it's the same. And you go, wow, well, how would you ever get that access without doing this? If I'd done anything else, because I was almost an artist for a while,
Okay, I didn't know that.
I was almost like, for a time, I was almost a cartoon artist, you know, like doing strips.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. So, you know, I went to art school, so I almost became an artist. Then I found this. Then I almost became like an academic, because I got lured into that, but I didn't do that. But I've stayed here because this just seems to be the thing I'm the most interested in.
Yeah. Why do you think it's captured you so much, the martial arts?
I think because it encompasses everything, really. Because excuse me, it's a. I'll just have my lunch. It's. I think right from the first fights I had, I thought, oh, what is this? What is this? What's the thing? Angles, why violence, how to negate violence, how to be structurally better so you always win, you know, how to prevail as well, and also about the things it does to you as a person, makes you positive, you know, makes you strong. And I think growing up, I was always cheerful, always, as anybody will tell you, I'm always cheerful. I'm always joking, but you know, like everyone else, you know, you have your insecurities, and I think it gave me a great underpinning there, you know, of confidence, and obviously I have a stammer, so it was hard growing up having a stammer, you know, but this really helped, just took me out of all of that and changed my life, and through me, thousands of others, you know?
Yeah, definitely trickled down.
Yeah, because the great thing is about it is the majority of blokes out there are scared, and girls as well, you know, like, are scared. They're just scared, you know, they're scared. There's some fear. Oh, what if this happens? What if I do that? Yeah, or they got no sense of themselves and there's their purpose, you know?
Yeah.
And also their backbone, their intention, where they're headed. And I'm very much of that. Let's go, let's jump, and then we sort out the details afterwards.
Yeah, sort the landing later on, but let's jump first.
Yeah, let's jump first, because I see so many people who racked with doubt. You know, racked with doubt. They spend all their whole life planning, but never leaving. Yeah,
executing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've always left. You know, I've left. I've jumped always, and I'm quite fearless like that, or stupid. Probably both. So I've always been at the bleeding edge. You know, when I had classes, so I'd have classes of 40 people in every class teaching karate, and a really interesting crowd, very widespread of diverse people. And then I found Jeet Kune Do, and I changed overnight.
Yeah, why? So why did you go from the karate over to the JKD, and how did the JKD come about? How did you see it?
Well, personally, because it was the truth, and I was always after the truth. Still am. You know, that's why I've got my 4D approach to Jeet Kune Do now. I still teach Jeet Kune Do and Kali.
Yeah.
But I teach with what I call a 4D eye on it, in that it covers the 4 dimensions of stand up, combat, striking, clinching, weapons, and group attack.
Yeah.
You know? And those are going to happen whatever fight you ever have. You know, you think you're having a fight with your girlfriend, and her uncle comes in and hits you over the head with a hammer. You know, or something. You know, the various, and it's a chaos thing. So how do I organise chaos? And so what we said was, well, let's take all the JKD and the Kali stuff, and see if we can make like a playlist of things that would give us a language that works across all of those areas.
Yeah.
Striking, clinching, weapons, and group attack. You know, not changing the art at all, but just taking the list that you have and prioritizing it, and see if you can get it to where it's more not a list of things to say. If they say this, you say this. But more language in that you can improvise, and then you can backfill, all of the 13 counters to the cross or the 17 of this that you have. But the framework's looser and simpler.
It's the scales.
So it works all the time.
Yeah. So it's your scale and then you riff off it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're prioritizing, so you're not doing stuff that never works first. You do the stuff that works all the time first. Yeah. Until you're getting that every day,
Yeah.
And so that was the thing that I got when I first saw Dan, because I brought Dan over in 1979.
Yeah.
I phoned. No, I wrote to him in California. Didn't get a reply for a year, and then Norman Breen, who was in charge of him at the time, said, "Yeah, we're coming over in a week's time. Can you organise something?" And I went, "Okay." And then we had 50 people. We're all of them my own students, apart from I think 2. Yeah, 2, maybe 3 or 4. Yeah, but I think predominantly all my own students. And he came with Jeff Imada, and Jeff Imada, for those people who don't know, was did all the Born Identity stuff, all of that fighting, which I think was the best of it, and they just blew me away. I just wow, they were so integrated. They had no form, they were beyond form. They could just like improvise, and I went, oh, that's it. That's what I've been after. Because I was always questioning everything. We were doing grappling back in 1971, maybe even earlier. Getting people on the floor and thumbing them in the iron. And it worked great then. For about 10 years, I killed everyone with Kaiser-Gatame, Kaiser-Gatame, I had such a good Kaiser-Gatame, I'd hold them and then I'd bar them off of that. But then, like it is today, everything just evolved, didn't it?
It's evolved, it moved on,
changes. So that was the reason I did that. I changed overnight, and we went from 40 people down to about 8, and I lost loads of money, and I didn't care.
Why do you think you lost so many? Just change is bad, or?
Yeah, change is bad, and also lots of people. I used to teach one of the top graphic artists, and a guy called Neville Brody, and Neville Brody did The Face and all those magazines. He's like a huge icon of graphics. And he said to me, "No, it's lost the spirituality." And I thought, no, it hasn't. It's a different. It's not so obvious. The bow isn't so obvious. And I remember Nick Hughes, who's a giant of a man. If you've ever seen Nick Hughes, he's and he came to the club one night, and he's an ex-Foreign Legion guy, bodyguard to everyone. He's a real dude. And he came to the club one night, and really, he had a hard time that night. And I think he came from like a Goju background. And I remember him saying in an article, which I think was us, talking about us, he was saying there's clubs where you can go and there's overt like respect, like Domo Sensei, Domo Arigato Gozaimasu, all of that stuff. And there's places which are like, all right, and they're just as respectful, if not more so, but it's not as obvious.
It's not as formalized.
No, it's not as formalized. It's not as ritualized. But actually, in a way, it's deeper. Because it's about brotherhood and even though you can have sisters as well, but it's about relationship to the teacher, relationship to the art. It can be deeply reverential, but without the hocus pocus. And I think also we were just going away from all that because we'd done all that for years. Sat there in Cesar for hours. And I think lots of it to no avail. If it was good for you, it would be great. But I can remember I trained Shotokan, just for a tiny time. I was in Tokyo, and one morning I went to a class, and there was Nakayama, Murakami, and Kanazawa there, and about 5 people. So that's like 2 8th dans and a 10th dan.
Yeah.
And all they did was in a block and Oizuki, and I thought, this is just nonsense. How are you going to get good? When if they're not expressing it themselves, then they can't teach it to you.
Yeah.
Because you need to be doing your art all the while. It needs to be you. You can't do this and then be that.
Yeah.
And there seemed a discrepancy between what they did for themselves and then what they were teaching. And I thought, no, that's not it. So I was an early changer, always. I'm not really scared of change that much, although that's a bit harder as you're older.
Yeah. Do you think your perspective's changed then as you've got older and as you've gone through?
Yeah, because how old are you now?
30, nearly.
Yeah. My son's 31, so he's almost identical stab to you. Yeah. So he's at his peak, really. He just thinks, yeah, it's great. I can do this. Accidents don't happen to you, and things. And as you get older, you go. Because I can remember being in my 30s, and we were doing something called the Carrymore Mountain Marathon.
Right.
And I came upon that because there was my sister worked at Sobel Sports Centre, and she introduced me to a guy called Norman Stanier. And Norman Stanley had a program called Sod It, which was Sobel Outdoors. It's terrific.
Right. Okay.
And he said, well, the hardest thing you can do, he said, is the Carrymore. It's a 2-day orienteering marathon. It's a killer. And I went, wait.
Let's do it. Yeah.
But that's going to be black belt now. If you want to take your black belt, you have to do that as well. And so we took a few crazy people, and we did that for the next 5 years.
Wow.
And I was in the 30s, and I was zooming. I was just like, and I remember one time I was coming down a mountain in the peaks, I think, or a hill in the Peak District, and I kept thinking, and my friend who was in 2 para, he'd been injured. He'd injured his ankle a bit. So I was going and doing all the checkpoints. I was running everywhere, skipping, laughing, overtaking everyone. And I remember just then thinking, I'm a god, I'm a god. And then within 6 months, God said, no, I'm God and you're crippled. And I was like, and I went from being there to there. So that was really hard to take. That was.
How did that come about? Because it was hips, yeah?
Yeah, just hips, just wear and tear. And I probably had a limp because we did a film in my 20s when I just come back from Tokyo, and about 1974. I think it's on YouTube somewhere, called The Sex Life of a Female Private Eye. It's totally camp, over the top film.
Right, okay. I'll have to make a note of that and watch it.
Yeah, and I'm a heavy, like people find it occasionally and show me. If you see me in that, they go and see the blind man at King's Cross, and I'm him.
Yeah.
And one of those terrible 70s films, terrible. Totally overacted. Everything's terrible. Actors are terrible. The whole thing's terrible. But the guy who directed that was a really good action editor, and he did a film with a guy I think called Tom Hardy back then, or Tom something or other, Tom Scott, Tom Hardy, called The Liquidator. And it's probably the best action scene I ever saw. Really well. It was like the Born Identity. He was great at it. So anyway, we did this film, and where was I? I've lost myself.
So the hips.
Oh yeah, so the hips, and then you can see on this film, you see I'm where everybody thought I had a bit of a sway, so I'd always get in trouble. I'd always have fights. People would go, "You look like you're up for it," because I'd swagger a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wasn't swaggering; I had a limp.
Right.
But I didn't realise I had a limp because I was 20. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
I just had a bit of a bowl along like that, you know? And so I'd always had it, and then on top of that, I'd done all these crazy things. I've done triathlon, I've done, you know, all these hill things,
Yeah.
And I was manic about it. So I'd always either be training or sleep. I'd either be on the bike,
yeah,
in the pool, running over Hampstead Heath,
yeah,
or training,
yeah,
you know, doing kicks and stuff, or I'd be asleep.
Yeah.
Ending up anywhere.
All or nothing, yeah. Flat out.
I was asleep, yeah. And of course, after the time your body goes, no,
enough.
You're done. And then within a year, I was like a cripple. So I spent about 15 years really struggling. You know?
Yeah.
Health went down the hill as well with my stomach and everything. So I had about a good 15 years of that, being in pain all the while. You know, it was interesting.
Were you still training during that time as well?
Yeah.
So just
So that's where lots of the 4D stuff came from, because I'm fighting like world-class people, and I can't jump around, so I have to be more assiduous. And they're still, I'm a bit crippled, so they're taking it easy, but they're still world-class people. Yeah? I mean, I was teaching Andy then.
Yeah.
That's when Andy and I met then. Yeah. When I was crippled, so I was still pretty capable. Yeah. And I think that taught me loads, because then you just go almost like now, isn't it? It's crisis and opportunity.
Yeah.
So we'd say, I'd have this thing. I said, well, I can't move at all. So why don't you stab me? But to make sure I can't move, I'll stand in a laundry basket.
Okay. Yeah.
Put feet in a laundry basket. You can push the laundry basket over a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm unbalanced, and then stab me. You know. Yeah. And so we do things like that. You know, in reception, we'd be in reception at the old academy. We'd be doing that. And I said, "People have a go," and they go, "No, you're just mad." You know. But that was the thing. It was it was interesting.
I'm sure. What about your relationship with Dan then? So obviously you brought him over for the first time into Europe in what,
1970? 79.
79, yeah.
Then I'm over every year then.
Okay, yeah.
For the next nearly 30 years. We were going to make 30 years, and then the border controls came on, and it became very hard for him to travel and come. Right, okay. You know? Yeah. So we got to 29 years.
Wow.
We did before, yeah. And I travelled over there. I was there in 1980, 81, you know, onwards. You know, so I was at the old Torrance Academy, which is all the films where you see them at the old, you know, the old Torrance Academy, which was great. It was a great place because it was more down in the projects. You know, sort of there. It was in Torrance, and Torrance, I wouldn't say it's a great area. You know, it's I'm not really an expert on LA, but I think you got Watts, you know, Normandy, and then you got Torrance. So it's like it's not a great. And I'd say a good 50% of their people there were Latino. You know, it was all like, "Hey, Carlito, how are you doing?" Everyone had hand wraps on. Everyone had a blade out and was twirling knives and things. And it was very much like a bandana sort of like culture. But it was great. And Dan was teaching there with Richard Bastilio. Yeah. So the club, I think, when the two of them were together, was quite magical, and it had like a grittiness about it. It was a fighter's gym, but at the same time incredibly technical. You know. So Paul Vunak was there, Cass Magda was there, Chris Kemp was there, all training. Yeah.
All the JKD legends there.
Yeah, all the JKD legends. Everyone that you know. Burton was there the same time I was. I think Burton might come just a tiny bit after me. but you know, that was like the beginning of it, really. And I had a great time. I mean, that was when Herman Suwanda came and gave his first ever demonstration there.
Wow.
So I was there in the crowd with Uncle Bill, who's a famous Punjab the Detroit's family, very lovely man, and John De Jong, who was Dan's first Punjab instructor. So we're all there, and we watched Herman gave like a demo and a talk.
Yeah.
And they went, "That's okay." You know, it's a bit like that. And but then Herman, as we found out, was was excellent. It was amazing. So it was just great. So I did that every year, and I had some great times there. Fabulous. It just it was an eye opener to do that, and I just become, this is it. This is who I am. This is the thing I do. You know, and also back then JKD was a lot looser and freer in a way. It wasn't so written down and formulaic now as it is now. It was quite a bit, but it was there was, in essence, there was a thing of it being formulated almost. I can't describe it. There was a bit more freedom about it. Yeah?
Do you think it's good to be more rigid and formulated as it is now, or do you think it's lost some of the magic of it?
I think then it becomes that it's good to have the form, but then I think the original Bruce's thing that I was intrigued by, and that Dan really, if you see Dan in action, he's doing stuff, but he's so in him that he's just reacting to you, and I feel now it's more like lists. People do the list, and so, and I because I came to JKD as an international fighter anyway, because I was fighting for England, and so I was doing loads of fighting. I've had loads of street fights back then, so I came to it with maybe a bit of a different eye. Not for everyone. There were some great guys there, Steve Irwin, people like that. Great training partners, and we were all learning Heaven Six and Odd Six and all that stuff. So it was great, but I just feel now it's a bit more like it's a list thing. And what I'm trying to get back to is some of that original, where like you have a list, but the list is to set you free. It's not to retain you. Yeah. And some people say, well, that's what it's about, but you don't need, as you probably know, the people who are going to learn every scale on the guitar before they play in a band are never going to play in a band. Yeah. You know, because you just need to start, don't you? You know, I know loads of people just know 3 chords and they're off. Yeah.
As you said earlier, just jump and then figure it out the way down.
And then figure it out, because there's a really good book by I think it's called Eric Rice. I think it's Eric Rice, called Lean Startup, and he talks about how they did this fabulous a messaging app, like a game app. They spent 3 years on it. Then they gave it to kids and said, "What do you think?" And the kids went, "Yeah, it's quite good." And they said, "Okay, would you pass it on to your friends?" And they went, "No." And they said, "But we're paying you." And they said, "No." And they went, "So we wasted 3 years developing this thing which they thought they'd like, don't like. So why don't we do a 1-page website with a demo on it, and it'll say, share this with your friends. And if they push share, even if it didn't go anywhere, then you've got a product, you know." So that's what it has to be. It has to turn around, because what you've got now is the tail wagging the dog, and you want to get active first, learn some stuff. You have to have skills. You don't want to be like the old days of boxing where you jump in and get smashed. But you can do a simple games around simple things, and then spar a bit, but gently. Not hard now, because we've all been hitting the head too much, over the years. I've got, like, if I look at you now, one of the pains of my eye is a bit double on this side.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like for fighting.
And just for impact.
Yeah, from impact.
Yeah.
Because I talked to the eye doctor, and she said, yours isn't bad at all. You can drive, and everything. She said, but it generally happens with boxers, rugby players, because one of the nerves of the eye comes from the back of the neck here and over the head.
Yeah.
So if you get smashed in the head, or your head gets smashed on the floor, or you get dumped, you traumatize that nerve, and then you've got like two pains. One of the pains is dead down, instead of them both being like that. One's like, just a bit like that. No, sorry, my watch is telling me I'm sorry. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I hate these. I just keep saying.
No worries.
Nova Scotia. Yeah, I'm talking to someone. They go, Nova Scotia, and I go, what?
What? Chatting to your wristwatch.
Yeah. So I met Dan, and we had him over every year. And Dan's incredible. I mean, as anybody who's trained with him knows, there's a few of us who have been very privileged to spend quite a bit of time with him whenever we can. Rick, I, and gone training with him in the morning, done yoga with him, done jits with him. We were starting jits with him in what, 95?
I think you said before he's just relentless. He just
he's relentless.
That next thing, trying to keep up with him.
Yeah. I mean, we did a day. We went training at the Machados. We went to Ann Barber's and did gyrotonics at 6:30. Yeah, gyrotonics is like a Pilates type stuff, but it's excellent. And Anne is just amazing. Yeah. So he attracts he finds out who the best teachers are, and he has that.
Yeah.
And he pays top dollar from it. He isn't getting it cheap. Yeah. Dan doesn't scrimp on anything. Say he wants to train with someone there 200 an hour. Okay, 200.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And I think Higgins said he's his best student ever. Higgins Machado said. He said he comes and he gives me the envelope with the cash in it, even though I tell him I don't want the cash anymore. Yeah. He comes and pays me every time, and he turns up on time, and so you go and do, say, the gyrotonics, which is an hour and a half, but quite deep stuff, and then we go to the Machados, and then we do that, and then we went to a friend's house and did yoga with Laura. That's Martin Denny's house. Martin Denny's like top one of the Dog Brothers founders. Yeah. It was excellent. He's great. He's on it. And so we all do yoga together, and then just another hour and a half, and then we go to the Inosanto Academy, and there's me, Dan, Larry Hartstall, and Ralph Jones, and we're having a private with Edgar Sulite. Yeah, if you've heard of him, he's the founder of La Mako Eskrima. Yeah, and a very famous guy, and he died a while ago. And so I walk in the door. He goes, Bobby Breen. I go, Hector Solite. So then I'm in a class of 4 with Dan, Larry Hartell, and Ralph, like my training partner, and I'm thinking, wow. Great. So we do another hour or so, and it's 12 o'clock. Or 12:30, something like that. And then we go, and we're done like 4 or 5 hours of training, but really on it. And then Dan saying, well, I'm going for lunch, and then I'm going to Gold's gym this afternoon if you fancy coming. Then he's going to do his weights workout with Julio or someone like that.
Yeah.
Then he's going to come back in the evening and teach for 4 hours.
Whoa.
And you just go, man, and we're all done. I mean, everyone's tried it. Eric Paulson tried it. Rick Young tried it. I tried it. We all go, can we go home to bed now? You know? Fabulous. It's just fabulous. So as an inspiration, and he's still doing 5 hours a day, every day.
Was it like the physical or the mental side that you think was more difficult, or a little bit of both?
Is hard, and the physical, because he's a jock. You've got to realise he's all his family are hugely intellectual.
Yeah,
all his family. I know Melody, his niece, who's a jazz friend of mine, and she lives here, and we played jazz with her, or band jazz, but they were very kind. They brought me into the jazz stuff with them, her and her husband Ian, and she's really a huge intellect, and plays the piano and does everything, and went to Caltech, and she's doing a PhD now. She's writing speeches for Prince Charles. She's like a whiz kid. Well, Dan's the same, but Dan's the jock of the family in that he's into sports.
Yeah,
but the approach to it is exactly that.
Yeah. Scientific approach, analytical approach.
I'm going to do twice as much as anyone else. So he's doing 5 hours every day. Yeah. But if you think about it, he was 100 yards. I think he was seventh. I probably got the figures a bit wrong, but I think he was seventh fastest 100 yards person in the United States.
Right. I didn't know that.
He's a more diminutive Filipino guy. All the other 7 are tall, hyper athletic black dudes, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just like they're all
Yeah.
And he's this little small guy.
Yeah.
So he's a legend. He's great. He's amazing.
Amazing.
But that's why everyone follows him.
Yeah.
And also he's very pure. He's just into this. That's it. He's not into cash. He's not into being famous.
Just does his thing.
Just does his thing. But I mean, it's quite fun sometimes. If you look in his bag, he's got all these cards from everyone going. The hostage rescue team, the SOS, the Mossad, the Secret Service, the Carabinieri, everyone, all those secret squirrels all over the world saying, have any trouble? Give us a call.
Cool. Yeah, it's like a little Rolodex.
Yeah, and he's a personal friend of all of them. Yeah, so SEAL Team 6 or whatever it is. It's amazing. Yeah,
give him a call. Yeah,
but he's just very, very humble. But as a person who trains, when you think you're training hard, no.
Yeah.
You're not.
Comparatively.
No, comparatively. I mean, 5 hours a day is, I would say, is about his standard. I know sometimes he'll fly, say, from Germany, back home LA, get home LA Monday, and he'll go training in the evening.
Yeah.
After a 14-hour.
Just relentless, yeah.
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 And at 83, 84 this year. I mean, that's just awesome. So I think, but then again, that's him, isn't it? So you can't be him.
No.
So you've got to be you. So that's I think the big thing that also I like to teach people. Say, it's important to be him. It's important to be you, the best you can be. And what I realised being injured was you have to play the cards that you have. Yeah. So you might have a crap hand, of all 7s and 5s or whatever.
Yeah.
Or 2s and 3s.
Yeah.
But it's how you play them, isn't it? So
and out bluff everyone else.
Yeah, well, a bit of bluff, but also I think if you can only go that far, I suppose like your health isn't great, and I've had bits with that. I mean, I look at Rick Young. Rick Young's a really good friend of mine. We're very, very close, very close. but Rick's like, he's built, you know, he's you know, he has his injuries, but he's sturdy, you know. And it's the same as you get those guys who can do splits, box splits, and they don't have to work it. They don't do anything. And that's true for everyone. So you've got to find out what your thing is and polish that, you know, and be the best that you can be. And that requires, obviously, like playing the piano or playing an instrument, that just takes a bit of dedication, discipline. But what's quite nice about that, you can do that all at home, don't you? So lockdown ties in with that. You could be a secret squirrel at home and just, you know, you could do your abs secretly. And say to people, oh, I don't do much at all. You know, and then they go, yeah, you don't do much at all, but you're really strong. And you go, oh, am I? Oh, lucky. But meanwhile, you're at home doing
sneaky.
Yeah, and also I just think because I have a stammer, I did a few stammering things back in the day. You know, the trouble with those is you always get attached to the therapist, and speech therapists are generally quite attractive and quite polished. Yeah. So that's another story.
Digress.
And what they say there is, they say you should have a minimum aims and maximum aims.
Yeah.
And what most people do, they aim at this, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get that, I'm going to do it business-wise as well. You know, I'm going to be online, I'm going to have 300,000 from this product, and you go, well, maybe not.
Yeah.
And you realize it's a process. You just have to start. Isn't it? So that's your minimum aim, is to start.
Yeah.
So you go, oh, I started. I got some paper and a pen, and I wrote the title down.
Yeah.
Done. You're a success. So you can pat yourself on the back and go, well done. Right. Now tomorrow you need to write 2 lines. Just to gradually progress. Because I think most of us, it's hard out there, because you're, particularly now, because of the social, what do they call it? Social, I'm never good on all those terms, but you know,
distancing.
No, look how great I am. Look how much I am.
Oh, right, yeah, social proof, yeah.
Yeah, social proof of
yeah.
And you think, so there's a lot of pressure on people, I think, particularly, on people in general. I mean, so you need to say, no, am I turning up? Yes. Am I trying harder than I did yesterday? That's all you need to do. And who you are is who you are. And you can't change you. What you got to do is find what's great in you and work that. And that's what we try and do. If I'm teaching, even with Andy, you look at Andy, teaching Andy back in the day. He's not a big guy, but he fights really well, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So so then what I worked on with him was this, because he's very bright, and strategies and stuff like that, and out thinking you, and he's always out thinking. His brain's on fire, So I think you just got to find out what your thing is and do that, and just keep turning up. And then there's people like Phil. Norman, Phil's amazing. I love Phil, and we talk on the phone almost every day.
Wasn't there a period where you two didn't get on particularly?
Oh yeah, absolutely. 20 years. 20 years. We fell out over nothing. I think he came up one time, and I went, "No, you can't do that. That's just not right." Because they were young and like doing something mad, and I probably thought I was like the head of Jeet to do at that time. And I went, "No, that's unacceptable," And they went secretly, and then didn't talk to me for. And then
that's a big banning.
One day we went on something. We went, "I really like you." I said, "I really like you," and then we got, and then we realised, it's like a romance we're talking about.
Yeah.
About let's get him to do that, and he's doing some great stuff with the different people, which you've probably heard of. People you can't really talk about. And so I said to him, I said, oh, I'd love to come, you know. And he went, no. He said, you're just too old now. He said, look, you're 70, and this is like full on, you know.
Yeah.
And I went, no, I'll come. Yeah, but he went, no. He said, you'll get hurt, yeah. So I can't do that anymore. What a shame.
How's your training adapted then now that you've got a little bit older in the formation of 4D?
I haven't really changed much. I don't spar hard,
Okay.
like I used to, because mainly because it hurts my hips.
Yeah.
If I spar hard with someone, just it's almost like the weight of them on me and the weight of me hitting them. Because
it's a double hip replacement, that you had.
Yeah. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's supposed to last about 12, isn't it? So I'm doing all right, but I'd like to keep them.
Sure.
You know? And this one's creaking a bit, and it doesn't like certain things. So things I used to do, I was quite heavily into still out for a while, and it doesn't really like that. And I talked to the surgeon about it, and she said, no, you've got to be careful on that because your edge load in that joint and you're wearing it out. You know?
Yeah.
And once it's worn out, then you're buggered. Then you've got like an inferior one. Your first one's great because I went to the best surgeon, had the best hip, you know, custom made for me. My wife had private insurance, so we got it all on that.
Yeah.
My surgeon was a transsexual,
right,
called Sarah Muirhead Allwood, who used to be called Jeremy or something like that, who's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You love her as a man or as a woman. She's fantastic. I mean, people often go, oh, transsexual, but she's fantastic. She's the best. Because everyone, it was weird, you know, because you're into this, you get to know loads of people.
Yeah.
So I talked to a doctor and they said, Sid, I said, Sid, should have my hip done with. And he said, Sarah Muirhead Allwood, she's the best. I went, okay. And then we had this other guy training, and he was a hospital a nurse, an intensive care nurse. And I said, who should I get my hip done? He said, well, there's only Sarah, you know. I went, oh, really? And then my osteopath friends, Sabash and Gary Derrick, their teacher is one of the top osteopaths. He's a fabulous guy, like a genius. And he said, oh, no, there's only Sarah. And so 3 separate people didn't know who said her. So I had her, and she's great. She's both fabulous. And I haven't really, I'm 20. If you look at those clips I put up on YouTube, I had a hip replacement 20 years ago. Things I can't do now. I can't kick higher than about the waist. Roundhouse kick's a bit of a struggle, even at the waist, where they cut you all open here. It's never been the same. But I can kick in the shin and in the groin really well.
Give me a good shin kick.
Great shin kick. Okay, great shin kick.
How did 4D come about then? How did the concept of 4D kind of evolve?
I was thinking one of those age things. You were talking about what happens at different age, and Dan always talks about that. He said your art's going to be different in every decade that you do, and I think that's very true. Mine changed a lot having my hips done, and then even then I hadn't really had all the ideas, because if you look at some of the old tapes I'm doing, I'm still talking the same thing then I'm talking now, but I hadn't put it together as a concept. Sure. And then I was in Italy, and I was thinking, what do I do? Where do I go? I thought, well, I can't really, I'm not become one of the greats at grappling. Even though I started it early. I mean, I started in 95, you know. We had Chris Hout over here in 96, you know. So that was probably the first black belt, proper black belt in the United Kingdom, and that was at our school. And And I got into it, and every time I was in LA, I'd train at Machado's and people like that, you know, or go and see Hickson or whoever. But I realised with my hips, because I tried it at the Machado's, and the thing is, if you haven't had a hip replacement, you're basically a plank, and people jump on you, you know, and your chance of getting up and out without hips. So I spent about 10 years just lying underneath people and getting smashed.
Yeah.
You know? At Machado, I enjoy right sometimes. If I was on top, I've got a great top game.
Good top game, yeah.
Because it's based on my stand-up game, so it's all the locks and wrist locks, and I fight quite gnarly, you know. So, but I didn't have the mobility, and if you want to get great at jits, you need great hips, you know, and also holding people in guard and things like that is quite a strain on the hips.
Yeah.
You know? And so I thought, no, so I can't do that, so that's off.
Yeah.
And then I also analysed all the street fights I'd ever had. None of them ever ended on the ground, ever. One, I ended on the ground, he ended on the ground. We both got up. He went to get up, and I pulled him down a little bit, so I got up a bit fast. I had bad hips then.
Yeah.
Then I left hooked him, and he just dropped.
Yeah.
And that was it. So apart from that one, every fight I had loads. None of them ended on the ground. And there's someone did a report recently where they said, oh, they worked out that I think 14% of real fights ended on the ground.
Right.
You know, in a way where you could do jiu-jitsu type stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And even then they said with the hitting it would probably go down to under 10%. So I went, well, that's not where it's at anyway, so let's concentrate on stand-up. So that was my big thing. And I was in Italy, I had a blank sheet of paper, and I went, well, what are the 4 things that happen? You know, what things happen? Just looking at it purely, and just said striking, clinching and grappling, you know, weapons and group attack. Yeah. And I said, well, why don't I just teach that? Because I'm good at all of that.
Yeah.
Because I've had group attack, you know, I've been in quite a few group fights, so it's not a theoretical model. It's based on experience. You know, one time I was about 17. We were playing rugby, and I was the captain of like my school team, and they've been saying to us things like, "We're going to stab you later," and all that. It was all really nasty, and kicks and elbows and things all the way through the match. It was a dirty match. Yeah. And at the end, we all came out the changing room. One of my friends was in there, so I said, "Oh, Brownwell's in the changing room. I'll go and get him." And as I walked in, one of them came up and went, "You better watch it." And I said, "You better watch this." And I smacked him straight in the face and knocked him out in the corner. Yeah. And then of course I turned to the other 14 and went, "Come on then, I'll take all of you." And they went, all moved backwards. No, they all moved backwards. That was I learned loads just in that 2 minutes, you know. They all moved backwards because I was the attacker, yeah.
A bit of psychology as well, then.
No one wanted to be hurt, yeah. And then they went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, and they went and it was great. Because fighting itself is weirdly. I hate conflict. I don't like arguments. I'm not a great person for arguing. I'm very friendly and jolly. You know, as anyone will tell you, I'm always cracking jokes. Yeah. So I don't like the lead up to fights, the real fights, and I much rather have an easy life and go, yeah. I am an arsehole. Yeah, okay, thank you. You know, but once you're in a fight's quite peaceful, really, because it just is. You know, there's no thinking. There's just doing. It's a place of purity, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah.
You're just like going away and you're in like a void.
Yeah.
You know, and I can see. I heard Jocko Willink. I think it's Jocko Willink. You know, like he's on YouTube. Ex-SEAL guy.
Yeah.
Saying, I'd love to be back in Iraq, leading a team. And I thought, yeah, of course you would, because it's a singularity, isn't it? There's the bad guys. I have to go and kill them.
Yeah.
You know, much harder, as Robert De Niro says in Bronx Tale. You know, being a bus driver, paying your taxes, paying your bills, doing all that, just being a normal person, much harder. You know, much harder, because it's like the everyday stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, the toilet's busted. But if you're fighting, if you're SEALs Team 6 and the toilet's busted, somebody else deals with that. You don't deal with that, because you're
That's true. Yeah.
you're in SEAL Team 6, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to kill bad guys. So there's a great beauty in it once you're in it, because it just is. It's not good or bad. Well, it's bad if you get hit, but it's there's, you're sort of in it, you know, like, and it's only afterwards you go, oh, that was good or that was bad. Yeah. So yeah, I think you know, conflict is quite a strange thing, really.
Definitely. Yeah. Just to finish off then, so one of the things that I think is most inspiring, and a few people have said this, is about how you continually learn. So even now you're doing all the Facebook ads with Matt Chapman, you're working on that, you're working on your copy, you're working on everything. You haven't just gone, I'm Bob Breen, I'm amazing, you know, a legend in the martial arts world, but you're still like, nope, I need to learn this, I need to learn this, I need to get online, I need to go on ads, I need to set up this online thing. Like, just so motivated.
I think the thing about being a legend, that's other people's agenda. You know, it's like calling you guru. You know, I never wanted that. I just call me Bob, and then people started calling me guru this, guru that. You know, so in the end, that sort of stuck. You know, and now we sort of use it as a brand name. But
yeah,
you're as good as you are, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, and you know whether you're stepping up or not for the day. You know, and it's on a daily basis, isn't it? Because you know, you have a good day, you have a bad day. You know, and if you have a bad day, it's how you play your cards that day, isn't it? So legends, that's really other people's view of you. It's not you. Yeah. Sure. And so therefore, I'm thinking, can it be better? I've never been like a guy said, "Oh, I'm never in look back." So if you ask me what we did last week, I probably couldn't tell you. I don't. Once you told me, oh, on Tuesday we went to IKEA, I go, oh yeah, and then we did this and that. Then I could populate that. I'm only looking now and forwards. Always have been, because I'm going to jump, aren't I? So I'm going to jump. So now I'm looking where we're going to jump to. Yeah. It's not. I'm not looking back. And I had a close friend of mine. He said, well, you should come over the house. We could go out, sit in the pool, put on Capital Gold, and talk about the old days. And I went, my God. I went, get away from me. Just like, because so no, I think like Dan, I'm just doing what I do today, how I feel today, the best I can do today. And also I've embraced the change. I said, no, I've taught for 50 years. I can't do that any better than I did. Yeah. I was really, really privileged. I changed loads of people's lives, loads of people, thousands. And I probably for a time had one of the best clubs in the world. Yeah. And again, that's the thing you can't hold on to, because it's, you have it and then it's gone, and then and if you're fortunate, it will come back again in a wave, but only if you change. Look at, say, like your Madonna. She's gone, she's done, she's busted, and then she meets up with some hip hop guy, and then she's back doing hip hop. And then you go, wow. But she adds something to it, doesn't she? So she's always reinventing and looking, and I think that's what you have to do. You have to deal with what you have, the cards you've got, and be looking ahead and not looking back. And also be, I think, optimistic about things. I mean, with this, the corona, as long as I don't die. I mean, I'm over the age, so I'm in the target sort of group thing. So I have to be a bit careful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, think of all the great changes that have happened. People were going, oh yes, we're going to go online, and we were thinking 2035 we're going to go online, and then they've gone like, no mate, you're going online tomorrow.
Yeah.
And everyone's going, oh okay, So that's going to change everything, isn't it? And I think people have also realised how the world is so beautiful in just air and wind and art and music and all those things that we have a bit more time for.
Maybe took for granted before.
Yeah. I've been looking at old Fred Astaire films and thinking, wow, look at these people, and so I think culturally, artistically, I think, like everything, Dickens says at the Tale of Two Cities, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And I think it all depends on your head, doesn't it? And happiness is in here, isn't it? And I don't really have too many bad days, even though sometimes I have a bad deck. I really have a bad day. I'm always optimistic. And I watched a film today from a Holocaust survivor. I can't remember her name. She's 109 and she plays the piano, and she's the oldest piano player in the world. And she was saying the world's a beautiful place, and everything's good, even the bad stuff is good. So I thought, well, let's go, let's jump. Where are we going to jump to next? So online's the place, I think, definitely. And also, if you can help people, wouldn't you like to be that guy that you needed when you were 20? Who would help you up? So I'm going to do a book on stammering, about stammering success for stammerers, because I can remember back then I was thinking, oh God, this is terrible. I can't go and order skate and chips, And I can remember, my mum would go, 3 cod, 2 rock, and I'll have a bit of skate. And I'd go, have a bit of rock. And she'd go, no, skate. I'll have a bit of skate. So I'd have to go to the fish shop and go skate. A big crowd there. And I remember being 12 or something like that, and really stressed bits, You are at that age, so I think if you can help people up, that's all you can do. I mean, Chapman's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's doing. Yeah,
he's earning really well.
Yeah,
but he's doing it right.
He's helping as well. Yeah,
he's saying, "Come on up, guys, it's great up here."
Yeah,
and that's what we used to do at the old academy. Get guys in who were really fearful and go, "No, come on, I'll show you how." I took this sparring camp for James Evans and Cole recently, and there were 2 guys there. They were quite good. They had all the gear and stuff, but basically in there they were just bricking it, And they're doing their stuff. They're throwing things, but really they're going, "I don't want to be here." And I thought, well, how do I make those guys really confident that they've got a game, they can play the game, and all right, they take the occasional whack, but they're not getting whacked. They're not a victim, And I've been really fortunate to have done that to loads of people.
Yeah, definitely.
And bringing them up. And I think if you're going to teach, that's really what the teaching's about. It's about helping others out, making people confident. And then when people are confident, they're not belligerent.
Yes. Yeah.
They're much more easygoing. Training is great for you because it just gets rid of your aggression anyway, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'd hate to think what I'd be like without this, But I'm very easy going, very, very tolerant. But I think it's because I've done this, so I've been blessed in every way, really. I've done this for 50 odd years,
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Bob, for taking the time.
Yeah, well, I hope that was okay. We didn't talk that much about.
No, that was amazing. Like usually I do like a little intro thing and say 3, 2, 1, but we went straight into it. So yeah, incredible.
All right.
Really good chat. But yeah, I loved it. Thank you so much.
Take care,
Take care of yourself. All right. Thank you.
Bye.